We are holding her to this high standard of her closing message needs to be this and this and this and that. His closing message is Arnold Palmer's package. Right. Dancing for 39 minutes like a wacko job.
It was general.
You're making fries at McDonald's, so why don't you tell him something? Why don't we talk about his closing message? What do you think about that?
What I think about that is that he is who he's always been, and he's not going to gain any voters in these last 10 days.
That's the point. I mean, that you don't want to talk about his.
No.
You're spending all this time
Something I don't want to talk about it. I'm not criticizing.
Let's be
clear, Anna. Well, then you got to open your ears. What I'm saying is trying to give her suggestions on how I think she can close the deal. Yeah. That's the difference.
Yeah.
It's, you know.
Well,
if you enjoy content like this, then make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video. Chris Christie went on The View and absolutely demolished Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg, and the rest of them so much that their own audience turned on them, which is very rare for The View. I think that the audience of The View is very cherry-picked, and they make sure that everybody in the audience normally really supports all the woke policies that they support and everything like that. In this video, though, the audience definitely turned on Joy Behar and the rest of The View. Let's get into this clip here where The View get absolutely shut down by Chris Christie, the guest on this episode, and then their audience applauds him after they get shut down by him. Let's check out this clip here from The View.
The 2024 presidential election is fewer than 2 weeks away, and we're all holding our collective breaths. I personally haven't slept since June. Here to give us his perspective on the neck-and-neck race between the candidate and the conspiracy theorist is former New Jersey governor and ABC News political contributor, Chris Christie. Welcome back. So, Chris, before we get into anything else, I want to know if you have anything to say about our conversation. Do you want to weigh in on it?
Well, I thought the screw you thing was great Jersey way to end the segment.
Well,
that was
Brooklyn.
really good.
That's Brooklyn.
Well, we're going to adopt her for that one. No, look, I do think that the coverage that you were talking about, I think the reason for it is he's numbed us.
He's numbed us.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 9 years of relentless lowering and lowering of the bar, and after a while, everybody becomes numb, and most particularly the people who spend a lot of their lives on this. A lot of the American people kind of dodge in and out of political conversation, but for people,
if you enjoy content like this, then make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
Like all of you sitting around this table, like me, who do this for a living, you've been relentlessly hit with his language for all that time.
They have at least fact-checked along the way, because all of these lies have accumulated since he came down on that escalator.
Look, as a matter of ethics, yes, but I will say that the fact-checking that goes on at times helps him, because for those people who feel aggrieved, they feel like, oh, well, they're just picking on him. And I think the last thing we need to do in these last 10 days is to make him more of a martyr than he is already. And so,
by not fact-checking him? His supporters.
But I mean, I think that at this point, the people who know that he's a liar, they've already made up their minds. They've made up their minds of where they're going to vote. The people who don't believe or actually do believe everything that he says, you're not going to change their minds either.
What about those undecideds?
Those undecideds, I really don't believe the undecideds are making the decision on Donald Trump.
There's people, Chris, who have Trump amnesia, that have forgotten, because for 4 years we've had a decent man and a decent woman as his vice president in the White House who don't talk this way, who don't say these things. And I think that some people have forgotten. And to me, it's important to remind them, because for some people, it does matter.
There's also a lot of people who have forgotten that the man literally took a bullet. It's so funny how Chris Christie is even saying to these idiots on The View, we need to not make him more of a martyr than he already is. How much more of a martyr can you possibly make the guy unless there's a successful attempt against him? The man that has had multiple assassination attempts against him in the last couple of months. One of them, a bullet whizzed past his head and clipped his ear. And if he didn't turn his head the right way, he would have been killed. I don't know how much more of a martyr you can possibly get without a successful attempt, which is really dark to think about. That's a crazy statement to make, to even say that the quote unquote lies that Trump tells, pointing them out, could make him more of a martyr. No, it doesn't. Number one, whenever these idiots say that Donald Trump lies and lies and lies, they never name an actual lie that he tells. That's just their go-to excuse for why Kamala Harris and Joe Biden lose the debates, is by saying that, oh, all Donald Trump did was lie. Okay, name a lie. They never do. And I'm sure Donald Trump does lie, right? Like every politician does lie, especially in those debates. They tell a ton of lies. but they never name a single lie. I'm convinced that The View doesn't even watch the debates or Donald Trump speeches. They just say, oh, I don't have to watch because on the show tomorrow, I'll just say that all Donald Trump did was lie. I get to take the day off research-wise. So I just think that's ridiculous to even make the statement of, oh, we need to make Donald Trump not more of a martyr by fact-checking him and bullying him. Like, what? They tried to take him out multiple times in the last couple of months. What are you talking about?
I just don't think those people are going to vote, Anna.
What about
if they
first-time
have that kind of
young people?
amnesia, they're not going to vote. And for the first-time voters,
I would have liked to forget him.
Yeah, I think that what's going on here is it's all up to Vice President Harris. The people who have, at this point, 10 days out, not already decided they're voting for Trump, they're not voting for Trump.
Yeah.
They're either voting for Harris or they're not voting.
Well, that
and so for me, that's why I think that what the Vice President's doing now should be focused exclusively on closing the deal about why she would be the best president. Saying that, Donald Trump is awful and a fascist and all the rest of that, I don't disagree with any of it. Yeah. But those people are already sold. So if you believe that, they're sold. It's done.
So who do you think is going to win? Who's going to win?
Look, 10 days ago, I would have told you that she's going to win.
And now?
And I think she's had a bad 10 days.
Why?
Because I don't think...
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
There's advantage and disadvantage to having come in the race as late as she did. The advantage is she didn't have to go through all the primaries and go through all of that goes on that wears you down a bit. But the disadvantage is people don't know her. I mean, yes, look.
She's been the vice president for almost 4 years. How could they not
Sonny,
know
you know
her?
the old joke. A woman had 2 sons.
Yes.
One went to sea, the other became vice president of the United States. Neither were ever heard from again. I mean, the job of the vice president is to stand 3 steps behind the president, out of focus.
Well, then
they didn't know.
Then why did they keep accusing her of not doing anything when she was vice president? What did Mike Pence do, I'd like to know?
Nothing. Like, look. But see, I think that's part of. I think that's part of the problem too with the vice president. I think one of the things that she needs to say when they're blaming her for certain things that were the president's decision.
Right.
I had a lieutenant governor. I got to tell you, most of the time I didn't ask her, like, "Are you think I'm right on this or not?" I mean, she gave her input. I made a decision. Yeah. It's my decision, not hers.
Right. Yep.
So I think vice president.
It's a bit of a different situation with Kamala Harris and Joe Biden than it was with Trump and Mike Pence, because Kamala Harris is vice president to a man whose brain does not function enough to even probably get his own breakfast in the morning, get his own coffee in the morning. He probably can't do anything on his own. Like, he's an elderly man whose brain is deteriorating quickly. It's really sad. And that she's the vice president. She's the only person. She's the first in command with a functioning brain, and it's barely functioning. And her own brain is barely functioning as it is, but at least it does function. And she's also appointed the border czar by Joe Biden. He's come out and said that publicly. Kamala Harris is in charge of the border. So if we can't blame her for anything else, she is blatantly stated by Joe Biden that she is in charge of the border. At the very least. Maybe we can't blame the economy. We can't blame, the crime. At the very least, she was in charge of the border. And Biden came out and said that blatantly clear as you can get. So we have to be able to blame her for that. But of course, The View and probably Chris Christie wouldn't even be able to do that. At least, though, Chris Christie is about to shut these idiots down, and the audience is going to love it.
President Harris should say, and she didn't say it here. I watched you guys that day. When you asked her, what would you do different than Biden? She didn't say it. I got to believe there are things she disagreed with him on. You're human beings. You're going to have, she's a bright woman with a mind of her own. Yeah. She's clearly going to have times where she looked at President Biden and said,
they've had
I
a
wouldn't do that.
successful administration, though, and she's not going to throw him under the bus. But
there's a difference, though, Sonny, between throwing somebody under the bus and saying, I had an honest disagreement with him on X, whatever it is. Because you can have an honest disagreement with someone you have enormous respect for.
Why not just say something?
Compared to the other side, that's nothing.
But the point is,
I refuse to believe that Chris Christie doesn't actually understand what's going on here. It's very obvious there's some kind of shadow, I don't want to say the buzzword, but shadow group of people behind closed doors. I'll just say it. Shadow government. There's some kind of shadow government calling the shots here. And Kamala Harris was very obviously instructed to not criticize Joe Biden. Joe Biden was elected as a puppet president for probably someone like the Obamas to actually have control over things. The Obamas told Joe Biden, or the shadow government told Joe Biden, you are stepping down. And they told Kamala Harris, you can take his place, but you can't criticize what we did in our last, presidential term, because it was actually us, the shadow government, that were calling the shots, not Joe Biden. So you're not allowed to criticize us. So whenever Kamala Harris is asked by Sunny Hostin, Joy Behar, and The View, what would you do differently from Joe Biden? She says, well, number one, I am not Joe Biden. And that's it. That's all she says. That's her answer to that question. She has nothing, because she's probably instructed to not say anything, because that would make the shadow government look bad, and they don't want that. That's what I think is going on. That's kind of what I know is going on, to be honest.
But we're doing here what Charlemagne the God was talking about yesterday. We are holding her to this high standard of her closing message needs to be this and this and this and that. His closing message is Arnold Palmer's package. Right. Yeah. Dancing for 39 minutes like a wacko job.
It was general.
You're making fries at McDonald's, so why don't you tell him something? Why don't we talk about his closing message? What do you think about that?
What I think about that is that he is who he's always been, and he's not going to gain any voters in these last 10 days.
That's the point. I mean, that you don't want to talk about his.
No.
You're spending all this time
Something I don't want to talk about it. I'm not criticizing.
Sounds like criticism
let's
to
be
me.
clear, Anna. Well, then you got
question.
to open your ears. What I'm saying is trying to give her suggestions on how I think she can close the deal.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
It's, the bottom line is, I'm not here to be a cheerleader.
You know, it's bad whenever the audience is starting to clap for Anna getting shut down, when, like I said, these audiences are so cherry picked in favor of The View. And there's an applause whenever Chris Christie shuts down Anna Navarro, who's trying to defend Kamala Harris. You know it's getting bad out there whenever that's happening.
For her, I'm here to say, based on what I've learned in politics over time, what she needs to do to close the deal. She's got an opportunity to go up. I don't think he does.
Okay, but Republicans who are having a hard time, right, closing the voting for her. You think hearing, and I'm talking about national security Republicans who care about the military. You think hearing John Kelly say that he is a fascist and that what he said about Hitler doesn't make a difference to those Republicans?
I don't think. I think those Republicans have already figured out.
Yeah, it literally doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter at all what Donald Trump says or does. It doesn't, like, people have made up their minds, in my opinion, because if you look at all the things that they criticize Donald Trump on, and The View in particular say these things over and over again, they criticize him on wanting to ban abortion. Donald Trump comes out a million times and says, I don't want to ban abortion. I want to leave it up to the states. We've done that. I don't want to move it anymore. It doesn't matter. They still just say, Donald Trump wants to ban abortion. And it's like, okay, no, he doesn't, but it doesn't matter, I guess, the truth. And then also they say, Donald Trump and his evil Project 25. It's like, Donald Trump has disavowed Project 2025 over and over again. His supporters hate the fact that he's disavowed it so many times, because Project 2025 is not actually bad. I mean, there's nothing really bad inside of it. But it sounds evil, it sounds ominous, so they like to use it, and they just keep saying it over and over again. Donald Trump and his evil Project 2025. It's like, Donald Trump has disavowed that over and over again. Donald Trump has said that he doesn't want to ban abortion over and over again, but they just keep lying about it. And there's so many other things that could go down the list. What's said at this point doesn't really matter, in my opinion. Everybody has made up their minds who they're voting for. Let me know in the comments, though, what you guys think about Chris Christie shutting down The View, more specifically Anna Navarro, and then the audience applauding the fact that Anna Navarro and The View got shut down there. Let me know in the comments what you think about this whole Chris Christie versus the woke host of The View situation.